Hi everybody! So I am filming my video today of the movies I saw in the theater in April. And I may get one more in this week, we'll see. But if I do, I'll just do an additional video on reviewing that movie. So I was able to see 6 movies in the theater in April. And just a reminder, I'm able to see so many movies because I have the Movie Pass. And it's an amazing service, $30. You can see a movie every single day, and you just can't repeat movies, and it's not 3D. But it's a great deal. It saves about half of my movie cost of what. First movie that I saw in the theater in April, I'm not going to really talk about too much because I already did a full review on this channel. It's the Furious 7. And it is a completely preposterous, ridiculous, over-the-top action movie. It's very in keeping with the series as a whole. Basically superheroes at this point. I mean, and the one-liners are very campy and very over-the-top and very silly. And they're in on the joke, which makes it a lot of fun. The tributes to Paul Walker were very well done. And I enjoyed it. It's not as good as 5 and 6, I don't think. But for what it is, I had a fun time. Normally, I'm not in that kind of movie. So this movie I saw in the theater, I also did a full review. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about, but it is called Freetown. It is a movie made for a Mormon audience, but I think it has a broader appeal. I would love if any of you see it is playing in your area, or if you're able to see it on DVD. If you check it out, let me know what you think. I'd be very curious. I really loved it. I was very moved by it. It's the story of some Liberian missionaries in the 90s that have to get to Freetown in Sierra Leone, or they're going to get shot because of this civil war that's going on. And I thought it was really tense. I thought it was pretty well acted. As far as the lead actor, Henry Adolfo, was very good. And I was moved by it. I thought it was a really good story. It's not just a maudlin Christian Mormon story. It's just a good story, I think. And I thought it was very well done, very well shot, good cinematography, good music. And I thought it had a really interesting character of a man who has faith, but he's also very, very practical. And that's something you don't necessarily see all the time in these kind of Christian movies. So then the next movie, this was my month for liking movies, I guess, that other people don't like. Because I really enjoyed The Longest Ride. The movie stars Britt Robertson and Scott Eastwood. It's a really dopey romance, but I thought for what it was, I had a good time. They have really good chemistry. There's sort of a sports element of the bull riding, and there's also the story of Alan Alda's character and his wife and their story in the 40s. I felt a lot like The Notebook to me. I really thought it was basically as good as, I'm not that huge of a Notebook fan. I think it's good. It's a satisfying romance, and I really liked that this didn't go in ways that many Nicholas Sparks movies have gone, with some kind of cancer or something like that. I thought that it was actually pretty subtle for his movies. Again, we're talking degrees and perspectives here, and I just thought it was a satisfying romance. It was, if you like a man in a cowboy hat, which I do, then I think you'll enjoy it. And so the next movie I saw is a movie that critics hated for the most part, but I thought was kind of fun. It is Jupiter Ascending. It's the new film by the Wachowskis, and it is a film that is completely ridiculous, again, kind of like Furious 7, but I thought it was sort of campy and sort of a little bit in on the joke, maybe not all the time, but just the accents and the look of it and the characters and the story were so just soap opera-y. It was like a soap opera in space. And basically it's about Mila Kunis plays Jupiter, who turns out she is the genetic match of the mother of these 3 aliens who now are threatened by her because she's this genetic match and she technically owns the Earth. And they want the Earth because they harvest people in order to make this eternal serum that gives them 100 people, gives them one vial that will allow them to live for like the mother lived 91 millennium or something like that. So like she said, you can just tell that's totally silly and ridiculous, but I don't know, I just thought it was kind of fun and thought it was very self-aware. And I thought the action scenes were pretty enjoyable. I thought Channing Tatum was good. I liked Sean Bean as this part honeybee, part human. I said it's a nutty, weird movie. It definitely has this strange Oedipus complex thread through the movie, where all of these children of the mother that Jupiter is now the genetic match for are trying to like woo her, and they all seem like they're kind of in love with her in a way. And one of them even tries to marry her, and so, which I thought was really weird. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. I mean, like I said, it is silly. And like I said, it has Phantom Menace-y kind of moments where they're talking too much about who owns the earth and trade rights and stuff like that. Don't want any of that. That was very, very boring. And it also, Jupiter is she's so easily manipulated, and she is the damsel in distress a lot. That gets old, definitely. But it's a shame it did so poorly, because I would have been curious to see kind of what the Wachowskis could have done with the world. And I had a good time watching it. What can I say? Sometimes I guess you just call it a guilty pleasure, I suppose. But the movie is a real winner. It's the first in my Disney Nature reviews. I'm actually kind of doing it out of order in that review, because I just wanted to go ahead and review The Monkey Kingdom now, the latest, and then I'll go back and kind of start and review all of them in order. But the Disney Nature just released their latest film called Monkey Kingdom, and it's about the macaws that are in Sri Lanka, and it centers around this one monkey or macaw named Maya, who's at like the bottom of the social chain. And I have no idea if this is complete hokum, but I have nothing to know otherwise. So in the world of this movie, they tell you that there's this really strict hierarchy to the monkeys, and there's like the leader monkey, and then there's like his basically women who rule and get all the good sleeping places, and I was really interested in that. That was interesting to me. And there's all of this drama that goes into getting food and who gets the what food, and like it was interesting to me to see like monkeys swim. Who knew that? And there was a lot of time spent on getting food and like grooming and dealing with other monkeys. And that sounds ridiculous, but I swear it was pretty entertaining. I liked it. I thought it had enough of a narrative, enough of a story. It wasn't just like one of those dry, boring nature documentaries that talk about the monkeys. This was like a story, and it was really beautifully shot and filmed by the Disney Nature team. Tina Fey is the narrator, and I'm normally not a big fan of hers. I know, shock. But I thought she was fine. She doesn't have like the gravitas in her voice that a lot of these nature films typically have. But because this was a story about a mother and a female monkey, I thought it kind of worked. There was clearly moments that had been staged. There's a moment where the monkeys storm this birthday party, and like everybody, all the humans are gone, yet the cake is right there, all the stuff is there. You know, it's like, okay, who is leaving completely and not going to notice there's like 20 monkeys, eating all the cake and everything. That one was I thought a little bit ridiculous, but I'll let it fly. I'll let it fly. It was I think your kids will love it. I think they'll be really entertained by it, and I think they might learn something. And they do donate a portion of the proceeds to conservation efforts, which is really cool. The last movie I saw was The Woman in Gold. And this is a bummer of a movie to me, because I think it had real potential. The story is great. It was a really important story to tell about a woman who sues the Austrian government to get back the painting, The Woman in Gold, by Klimt, that her family owned. She fled Austria and went to America, and most of her family was sent to the camps and and were killed. So it's a horrible story, a horrible situation. But I have to separate sort of my empathy for that situation and really look at the movie, because I think as a movie it failed. I think Helen Mirren is very, very good, and she does what she can with the character, but I didn't get enough of kind of her and to make her a unique person. To me, she felt very rote and kind of by the numbers sort of character. I just she wasn't sort of unique. And then the scenes about her in her past, I felt were so predictable and things I'd seen so many other times. And because we know that she gets out, I just felt like the tension, and they're long and there's lots of them. And I actually fell asleep for a little, I could cut like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, because I just wasn't engaged. And so basically, like, she hires Ryan Reynolds, who's this new dad, new at a firm. He's this lawyer, and he kind of begrudgingly takes on the case, and he does get more involved and some more invested in the case. But I just did not buy him at all in this role. I thought that he was completely the wrong choice. I just felt like instead of giving me the heart and the character that I needed, I felt like he just would all of a sudden start spouting legalese. And it just turned into a courtroom drama I've seen a million times, and it was so predictable, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. And so for me, it just was kind of tedious. I was bummed out because the story is really good, and then Mirren is good, but the movie I just did not think was good. When they came up with the credits after telling what she did with the money and how she gave to charity and what a great person she was, it's like, I wish I could have seen more of that, like more of who she really was and like what made her a unique person instead of just being this sort of stock old feisty woman, that I've seen in a lot of other movies. And I don't know, I guess I just didn't get enough of sort of a really interesting character that I felt like the summary was more interesting than what I had seen on the screen. So that's part of the reason why I don't like those summaries, because I want to have the movie speak for itself and this be the character. I don't want to know what happens. I don't want to know, like, if the movie hasn't satisfied me with the story, don't try to satisfy me with a bunch of exposition at the end telling me what all these other things they did. I hate that in a movie. It's just like, just tell the story that you're trying to tell. Don't give me all those paragraphs at the end. That's just like a pet peeve of mine. And I just thought it didn't succeed in creating a good story, even though the story itself is actually good. The execution was poor. So that was a bummer. These are the movies that I saw in the theater in April. So you have Furious 7, that is ridiculous and a lot of fun and over the top and in on the joke, and I enjoyed. You have The Longest Ride, which if you want a dopey romance that has appealing chemistry and good character, pretty good characters and is well shot, looks good, that's going to be your movie. If you want to watch a sci-fi film with some pretty good action scenes, some good world building, some really campy, over-the-top dialogue and characters that are I had fun with, then Jupiter Ascending is your movie. If you want a movie that you take your kids to, that will teach them something and that they'll get a nice story from, Monkey Kingdom is your movie. If you want something that will really inspire you and teach you about a part of the world that maybe you're not as aware of, that will be Freetown would be the movie for you. If you want something that is flawed, but at its core is a good story and has a very appealing performance by Helen Mirren, then Woman in Gold. So I think they all have their appeal to a particular audience, and I would be curious what your thoughts were. So thanks so much, and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later.